Well, hi, and welcome to another LRCC Soundbite. When you were growing up, did you ever get told to just accept what your teacher was saying because they know best? Or maybe you wanted to ask a question but you weren't allowed to? Or maybe you did ask a question but were looked down on or berated for doing that? I think we get better at dealing with questions as we get older. And we also recognise that we tend to learn better when we question why something is like it is and not just accept it without question. Now, I think the same is true of questions about Christianity, about religion, about God. There was a time when people were told just to believe and don't question. But personally, I like to think of this life that we live as a journey. And when people choose to explore faith in Jesus, that becomes a part of their journey. I love to hear their questions. I love to work together to see what answers we might come up with. Now, the stories of Jesus in the Bible do show us that Jesus himself wasn't afraid of people's questions at all. In fact, the opposite was true. He welcomed them. Sometimes people would try to catch Jesus out with a question. Other times they would genuinely want to ask about something they were struggling with, and even question things that Jesus himself had said to them. If we go back in the Bible even further, well before Jesus was born, and look at some of the stories of the ancient prophets, even they are frequently found asking God questions, asking for clarification, or questioning God's actions, questioning whether God's made the right decision. And patiently, God answers them. Jesus was never trapped by the questions that people tried to catch him out with. And in fact, often he would turn the question back on them and say, well, you asked me this, but what about that? I guess sometimes people think that Christianity is hard. It doesn't involve following lots of rules. Aren't there lots of things you're not allowed to do and you've got to work out what they all are? I think actually the reality is that Christian faith is a lot easier than many people think. A man once asked Jesus, what do I need to do to be saved? And I think he expected complexity, a hard answer. He expected to discover something that he needed to go and do that was, hard, or something he needed to pay for. Because in actual fact, he launched into that question by first telling Jesus about all the things he was already doing and the things he was believing and the things he was supporting. And Jesus' answer to him was really clear and really simple. All you have to do, Jesus said, is to follow me. And for this particular man, Jesus said that because he was rich, he needed to sell everything that he had because he wasn't going to need it anymore and follow Jesus. And that simplicity was really hard for the man to accept. We don't know what he did. There's no further information about it other than he went away thinking, sad and thinking about what he needed to do. But I think that message, that simplicity, is still there today. Simply accept and follow Jesus. It's the friendship we have with Jesus that causes Christians to start to behave differently, to imitate the actions of our friend, just like you do with any friend that you have. So, can you question God? Of course we can. We ask him why things happened, whether he can change a situation. There was another guy in the Bible didn't want to accept what God was saying to him. So he asked God that if this was truly what God wanted, then he put this fleece, a sheep's fleece, on the ground and said, in the morning, I want the fleece wet and the ground dry. Sure enough, the next morning, that's exactly what happened. The man wasn't satisfied with that, though, because he then did it again and said to God, look, if you're truly right, then I want the ground wet and I want the fleece dry. And sure enough, that's what God did. And the man, his name was Gideon, went off and did do what God said. So always feel able to ask God a question. God is big enough to answer any question we might have, even the really hard ones. My advice to you, though, is if you do ask God a question, listen and watch for the answer. Have a great week. God bless you.